Okay, let's see if we can't finish off chapter 8 of the rape of the mind in this one video. Gonna have to move along fairly quickly. As a simple example of how individual personal and social conditioning can affect a juror's current reactions, let us look at the inner confusion usually caused by the word traitor. Here we have an emotionally loaded trigger word. If somebody is accused of being a traitor or a subversive on the basis of undeniable facts, any attempt at a scientific psychological explanation of this person's behavior is already considered a treacherous intellectualism. The consensus is that the traitor should be punished. He belongs to the scum of society. Better let him die. Even the lawyer who defends him before the court may be accused of collaboration in treason. All of us know many other trigger words which immediately provoke confusion in our objective perception and judgment because they touch unsolved, unconscious feelings. Words like communist and homosexual, for instance, can become confusing trigger words which bring a reservoir of dark feelings into action. Demagogues like to use such words in order to stir up mass feelings which they cannot control, but which they believe are very suitable for the strategy of the moment. This can become, however, like playing with dynamite. Any one of us may be swayed by elusive cliches such as where there's smoke there's fire, or once a thief always a thief. I once saw this most interestingly in a hot debate where someone had once been scolded for being a dirty monogamist. As soon as the accusation was made, public opinion turned against him. Even a judge can be swayed by his own emotional difficulties, especially by slanted testimony of witnesses who may be attempting to mislead. In Great Britain, the courts are more aware of the effect of a prejudicial attitude on the part of jurors. There, the trial process is extensively protected, mostly through prevention of pre-trial discussion and deliberation, regardless of the unpopularity of the accused. Televised interrogation. An open official interrogation affects those who watch it, and the fact that they are effective may influence its outcome. Various crime hearings in this country, for instance, were brought before the people by means of television. Citizens sitting comfortably at home, far from the scene, could see how defense lawyers maneuvered facts or instructed their clients, among whom were well-known crime bosses, so that they would appear in a favorable light. Even though their actions may have been transparent tricks with the appearance of a fixed wrestling match, the result was that some of the not so jovial-looking victims of the criminals were made ridiculous, while the criminals' calm, assured, self-possessed seemed more admirable. The victims often couldn't stand being in the limelight. It made them feel ill at ease and embarrassed. The criminals, on the other hand, either denied every accusation in tones of righteous indignation or made confessions which degenerated into hysterical quests for pity. The magic effect of all the anonymous onlookers, because the witness or defendant imagined their approval or disapproval, influenced the outcome of the hearings. All of us who watched them brought our own subjective expectations to bear on these hearings. Television makes a mass trial of such a hearing, and unwittingly not justice but the variable feelings of the public become part of the courtroom atmosphere. Every piece of evidence in such a hearing is colored by rumor and emotion, and the shocked onlookers are left with feelings of suspicion and deep misgivings that the hearing was not really gotten down to the condemning facts. The quest for detachment. Man's feeling for justice has very subtle implications. As soon as Justicia flirts with powerful friends or becomes completely submissive, people feel insecure and their anxiety increases. But man's feeling for justice needs more than mere security for its satisfaction and gratification. The sense of justice is an inner attitude aiming at the realization of ideal rules of law that can inspire the community and raise it to a higher moral level. It requires not merely the minimum of decent behavior that is enforced by law, but more than that, a maximum of personal initiative and mutual fair play. It asks for personal and social justice, for mutual limitation of demands in the service of the mutuality of relations between men and between men and their government. Any ideal feeling of justice requires sacrifice and implies self-limitation. Emotionalism is its enemy. This ideal of justice not only is not only valid for individuals but should also rule communities and countries. Only in such an atmosphere of free, mutual sacrifice of power on behalf of growing justice can democracy grow. Can people learn to see objectively and in a manner detached from their personal feelings? Yes, they can. Preconceived ways of seeing and witnessing can be changed. Many people realize the damage men do to themselves and others when they submit to collective passion and prejudice. These people then learn through astute investigation and observation how to be less prejudiced, how to see events with constant readaptation of mind and eye and with a search for reality. Prisoners in concentration camps or POW camps are so constantly bombarded with rumors and suggestions, their observations are so distorted by their necessary self-defenses that they are hardly able to give an objective report regarding the actions of their fellows. The mass attitude of the day directs their opinions. The fellow who has become a scapegoat, whose functions it is to alleviate for his fellow prisoners their common anger, will never be able to neutralize all later reports about him, simply because the number of so-called objective witnesses is against him. It is very difficult to separate the rumors from the facts and to neutralize ingrown mental toenails. There is in man an instinctual need to take sides with the majority, to conform to the opinion of the strong. This need is rooted in a biological urge for safety. That is why a strong feeling of participation grew among soldiers in a POW camp. The result was complete unconscious falsification of what happened. The individual observation got lost in the strong impact of mass opinion. In the future age of psychology, when insight into man's behavior is more generally understood and applied, we will be more aware of the importance of dependable witnesses. Every report and every piece of testimony, pro or con, will be examined and weighed in the light of its psychological and historical background. The citizen of the future will laugh as he looks back at the time once lost during trials because obvious facts on one side were not brought out to challenge equally obvious facts on the opposing side. These future citizens will understand that we only revealed our mutual hostilities and feelings of fear and insecurity by our behavior, feelings which moved us compulsively and subtly to make subjective rearrangements of our memories and impressions. He will point out that objective thinking was in its infancy in those days. And that, my friends, ends chapter 8. We are reading from The Rape of the Mind by Juste A.M. Merleau, M.D. And it's coming into focus just ever so slowly. We got the nutcracker on the brain, which looks like a walnut. Subtitle, The Psychology of Thought Control, Menticide, and Brainwashing. And I will see you all in chapter 9.